Hello, everyone. Welcome to episode 56 of the J Situation Podcast. I'm recording this on March 30th, 2021. How you folks doing? I'm doing pretty well. I hope you are too. The weather is changing. Man, it is so pleasant outside. Yeah, I was thinking I might actually go shooting this weekend. I have some hardened steel. It's kind of like, I would say it's like a silhouette that is notched on the bottom. It's like a steel plate, you know what I'm saying? And I have a hardened steel post with a matching notch, so I can hammer the post into the ground and then put the silhouette onto the post. You know what I mean? And then I can shoot it from far away, and I can hear the ping. It makes for a cool target. You got to make sure not to put it too close for a couple of reasons, right? One, rifle rounds will most certainly deform the steel. If you're too close with the rifle, you'll for sure start deforming the steel. I mean, I guess it's okay, but eventually the steel will get all messed up. And then the second thing is ricochets. Ricochets can definitely be an issue, and so typically, if I have it closer, if I have the steel closer, or I'm shooting maybe with a pistol kind of close up, you know what I mean? I like to angle the steel downward so that if something does come back, it'll go down into the ground. You know what I mean? It's just a little bit of a mitigation strategy when you're shooting. That's why you always wear your eyes. Always wear your eye protection. You never know. You never know what's going to come back at you. But yeah. So I was thinking, a cool target. You can bring a white can of spray paint or something, and you spray paint the steel so then you can see your hits. You know what I'm saying? Just in case, and then you can respray it if you like. It's kind of cool. It's like one of those. Just one of those simple things you take for granted that it's really easy to do. But I tell you what, I have not shot for fun in a very long time. So I'm going to go out alone, I think, and do that. I just blow some ammo. Frankly, I'm just going to go shooting. I'm probably going to do some full auto shooting too. I'm just going to go to my happy place. I'm pretty excited about it. You know what I mean? Like, I just haven't done it. I just have not done it in a while. And one thing that is important is the use of silencers. I am definitely going to be shooting with silencers. I think I'm actually going to take out the Helios QD Ti on my M16, and I'm going to see how well I can do with an unmagnified EOTech at distance. That's what I'm going to do with that. I was also thinking of putting the Surefire 7.62 RC2 on the gun just to mess around and maybe see how the ejection pattern changes with it. I do have a few silencers to mess with on the gun, actually. And what I have to do, I have to resist the urge to use them all. I really just want this to be a fun, fun early morning outing before lunch. That's really what I'm planning on doing. You know what I mean? It's one of those things, but the data junkie in me wants to take all these 5.56 silencers out and play with them, and no, man, I don't know. I was thinking, maybe I'll bring some to mess with after I'm done with the fun, and I don't know. I don't know, man. I don't want to let it get away from me. I do know what I'm going to do is I'm going to use some SIG 5.56 ammo I was able to grab before this craziness. I was able to get some from SIG like last year. I'm going to save the other 5.56 ammo I have for testing because I can't be using that because I have to do testing with it. But the SIG ammo, I don't think I'm going to test with the SIG ammo. It's just too nice. No, it's not that it's too nice. It's that it's not a common military designation, and so I don't want to test with it necessarily because I want 5.56 to be done with. I'm probably going to use XM193 for 5.56, honestly. But yeah, so I think probably I know the ammo I'm going to use. I'm excited about that. All in all, it's you know what I'll do? What I'll do is I'll post a picture of the rifle and kind of some of the setup I'm toying with to mess with just for this fun day. I'll post that with this podcast. So that'll be what you get. That'll be the multimedia experience for the podcast. You see, you get a picture, and then you get me talking to you. But yeah, it is important to note that silencers are mandatory. I do consider them now mandatory for my shooting. And where you may be asking yourself, where should you get your silencers? Well, hey, I'm here to tell you, the J Situation podcast is proudly sponsored by Silencer Shop. That might be a good place to get your silencers. How's that for a segue? Yeah, it's subtle, right? You like that? It's subtle? I'm getting better. No. Silencer Shop really is the most efficient and intelligent way to purchase silencers. As a silencer consumer, they're not only my dealer of choice, they're my infrastructure of choice. Okay? I'm serious about that. Silencer Shop has done a lot of cool stuff, like create an easy system that minimizes the likelihood of errors in the paperwork you submit. Okay? They've pioneered the use of a QR code on the actual Form 4 so that the ATF can scan the code instead of inputting all your data themselves. Like, guys, seriously, that's what they do. Okay? Like, when you do a Form 4 through Silencer Shop, there's literally a QR code on the form, and the ATF is using that for data entry to minimize errors. Like, that happens. It's crazy, right? No, that's real. Like, that's... So, I don't know. I mean, I just want you guys to understand that. There is a reason. I mean, there's a reason that Silencer Shop has grown. They do continue to innovate. They have a network of dealers nationwide where silencers are legal. Okay, you can use their kiosk and services. You know, you can basically use that stuff, and in turn, you're cutting down on errors, and you're simplifying your silencer purchasing process. I mean, that's really what you're doing. Now, think about it. It's a one-stop shop. You can do everything from buy a silencer and tax stamp to form a trust online, digitally sign your Form 4, all from the comfort of your own home. You're submitting all your biometric data, your personal data. It's all super simple, and you use the kiosk to do it. It's really easy. And all of the information you submit, all of your personal information, it's stored safely. You know, it's encrypted in their systems for easy access when you need it for your forms. So it stays in there. You know, you get your form, you're ready to use your forms, boom, it populates it on the forms. It's all like internal to the system. It's pretty cool, man. You never have to hassle with the ink, with the fingerprint cards, or anything like that when it comes to buying a silencer. They even have a money back guarantee. So if you're not fully satisfied, Silencer Shop's going to do their best to make it right. It's cool, man. Frankly, I wish Silencer Shop had been around when I first got into the NFA game. It's super easy. You head to their website, you search for the products you want to buy, and when you're ready to make a purchase, their online tools let you choose dealers in your area that will hold your silencer for you. So you go through the wait. Maybe they even let you shoot it while you wait there. So no transfer fees, no paperwork errors. Just you and your silencer with no drama. It truly is silencer ownership simplified. It's good people, guys. I'm telling you, salt of the earth. I wouldn't be saying it if it wasn't true. And I tell you what, secondly, and I was going to say most importantly, I'd say most importantly, this podcast is also sponsored by the only, the Data Junkie approved PEW Science. This cracks me up, man. No, but it's true. It is sponsored by PEW Science. pushing the silencer industry forward one test at a time. Visit PEWScience.com for the suppression rating, the simplest and most accurate hearing-safe ratings for your suppressed small alarms. And always remember, the suppression rating is based on true human sound perception. Okay? It's in Section 5 of the Silencer Sound Standard on PEWScience.com. The standard walks you through gunshot noise, sort of like Wikipedia, but way cooler because it's about silencer sound. There's 7 parts. They're all on the website for you to read. If you haven't seen it, if you haven't dug into it, it's totally fine. Skip to the suppression rating Section 5. It lets you know how silencers stack up in comparison to one another with regard to sound at the muzzle and at the shooter's ear, and it gives you a hearing-safe dose limit for the particular platforms on which the silencers are tested. Again, directly tied to human perception. If the rating is higher, it sounds better. If it's lower, it sounds louder. That's all there is to it, man. You're not going to find it anywhere else in the world, I promise. Section 6, all the reviews, super detailed. You can check them out on the website. And you know what? If they're too detailed for you and you don't want to look at them, you don't have to. I'm not here to waste your time. Just go to Section 7. You look at the database tool there. It can sort and view the suppression ratings, all the publicly released test data. If you find something you like, there's links there. It'll take you back to the reviews as you want. Okay? As always, if you are a manufacturer and you would like to use PEW Science for private testing or consulting services, there is a form on the website with which you can submit that inquiry. Your contact information and all test data will be held in strict confidence. Unless, of course, you want to release it to the public, when, we can help you do that if you like. We've done that several times for some of our clients, and so you can see those on the website there if you like. You can support this podcast, PEW Science, and our testing by joining at PEWScience.com with a membership if you like. And you know what? You can even, if you're like, yeah, it's too rich for my blood. It's okay. Hey, roger that. You can even just rate the podcast, Give us a good rating on the podcast. Tell your friends about it. Hey, doesn't cost you anything. And what you do by doing that is you spread the word. You educate folks about silencers. Everybody wins. It's a win-win. It's a win-win-win. No, but I would greatly appreciate that. I've got 5 topics for you today. The first topic, Sound Signature Review 638. The Energetic Armament VOX S with a wipe on subsonic 300 blackout. Talk about that review. Released that review last week. Talk about that. Topic 2, listener questions. Remember, it's continuation. We're going to do the continuation of the ton from the last 2 episodes. I'll take a stab at them. A limited amount from the third group. Frankly, I'm not sure how much time we'll have, but we're going to get to at least 1 or 2. Maybe 3. Topic 3, 1 year of the Silencer Sound Standard. I just want to take a moment to give a quick note on industry acceptance and the journey, how it's been and beyond. I'm just going to give you guys some outlook on that. Topic 4, we did just conduct a test series, recent PEW Science test data. It's extremely interesting. I've been combing through it. Some hints for you? Maybe. I just might give you some hints. And topic 5, welcome to all the new PEW Science members, and thank you for your support. And also to you diehard members from the beginning, thank you for your continued support. It means the world. Okay, I did mention this a second ago, how I said, maybe we only get to a couple of your questions today. I am actually in the middle of some research right now and data analysis for PEW Science, and so this actually might be a short podcast because of that. Excuse me. I've just literally in the middle of research, and there is apparently, what's really interesting? Apparently there's only so many hours in the day. You would think you could compress it and maybe get some more in there. Turns out time is incompressible. That is a little known fact. You're like, oh my God, this guy's literally lost his mind. Okay, topic 1. The time of 14 minutes. No. Take that back. Topic 1, a time of 15 minutes and 5 seconds. Oh my God, we're splitting time. Sound signature review 638. The Energetic Armament VOX S with a wipe on subsonic 300 blackout. Yeah. I went ham. Oh my gosh. This was crazy. Wasn't this crazy? Like, I don't know how many of you have actually read it. And I recognize I have in the past made statements such as, I'm going to make things more simple. And soon we'll just do this. And just take a look at the number at the top of the page and it's easy. I have been guilty of saying these things. Are they all true? Yes. Do sometimes I go ham in the reviews? Also, yes. But there is a method to my madness. Everything I do is for a purpose. Everything I publish is for a reason. Again, I'm not sure if you've had a chance to look at it, but it did take a while to do it. And there's a few reasons why this effort was hard. And I did want to mention that. So first of all, I have actually tested this silencer wiped. Okay, let me back up for those of you who do not maybe there are some of you I think that listen to this podcast and you don't go to the website. So like I don't want to like mess your understanding up because you might not have seen this. So when I say wiped, the Energetic Armament VOX, its end cap can be removed with a wrench, okay? Like you unscrew it and it comes off. And then on the internal side of the end cap, it's threaded to accept a secondary cap, which they call a wipe retainer. And what you can do is you can put a small silicone rubber disc or other disc of your choice within manufacturer allowances. You can put that between the wipe retainer and the end cap, and you can screw the wipe retainer to the end cap so it sandwiches the retainer and the end cap sandwich this disc. And then you can go ahead and you can screw that entire assembly, the end cap with its captured wipe and retainer, you can screw that back into the silencer. So now your silencer, the end cap itself, is occluded. It's blocked. It has a plastic or silicone rubber disc covering the opening. And in a very long time ago, in the evolution of silencer design, these things that are used, and they're called wipes. And a wipe is basically, it's a solid object that provides a barrier to the travel path of the bullet through which the bullet can travel. But then after the bullet travels through that material, the most of the material stays put, and the gas that's the combustion gas that's pushing the bullet is like, hey, what the heck, dude? I can't get through. It's like if you're going to the butcher or the deer people. You go to the meat market. You say, hey, let me look at the meat that's hanging up. And you go and you walk into the room with all the, got the hooks there with the tracks and the meat's hanging there. And there's those big old plastic sheets. And you walk through it. And then all of a sudden it's cold. You're like, huh. Turns out you could go through there. Turns out the airflow had a hard time. So it's still cool inside the cooler, the walk-in cooler. That's why they use those plastic things. That's kind of like a wipe. Okay, it's a very crude analogy, but that's basically what you're doing. Okay? So when I say wiped, I mean that you're taking a silencer and you have a barrier inside. Okay? At the end cap typically. Now, there are silencers that use wipes throughout the silencer body, not just at the end cap. Those silencers are not very common anymore, but those exist. Okay, some silencers have multiple series of wipes. There's all kinds of things you can do. There's all kinds of reasons why that's a bad idea too. I'm gonna drink of water. 1 second. Excuse me. I've been talking all day. So yeah. Okay, I hope that I didn't plan on explaining that, but this is why I knew this episode was going to go off the rails. It's okay. So back to why this took this. Now that you understand what a wipe is, back to why this test took quite some time, or rather, the review publication took quite some time. I tested this silencer multiple times with wipes, and I used a heck of a lot of ammo and time doing it. Okay, in some of the tests, there were some things that happened that made me scrap the entire test. And that happens sometimes, and not every test is going to be something you want to publish. It's so hard for me to explain it to you. There are a lot of factors that influence this. And suffice to say, this test was a good one. It really was. And I think it was actually back in late September that I did it last year. You know what? It's funny. I actually did some 5.56 testing during this September test series that I have not published either. This was actually an intermediate test series in which I was exploring a lot of stuff. And this was one of the tests that was highly requested by people. So I was like, I kept it in the back of my mind. Okay, when I did it. Another reason it took a long time, and this is a technical reason that you might be interested in, it took a long time because it's a 20-shot test, and I took these waveforms out to a full second on PewSoft to understand exactly what was happening. A full second of data acquisition, which resulted in each of the 20 waveforms at multiple microphones being comprised of 1 million points each, right? Because I'm sampling, so PewSoft samples it at 1 megasample per second, which is 1 megahertz, which is 1 million samples per second. And so each curve from each shot has 20 million data points. And so, literally, to manipulate. So imagine 20 million points in a waveform, continuous waveform, and that's on your computer. Okay? And you got to manipulate them around. Remember when I bought that new laptop with PEW Science funds? Remember when I showed it off on Instagram? And I was like, hey, check out my new ThinkPad. It's pretty dope. This is really going to help PEW Science. Yeah. I'm literally moving. Sometimes I'm moving data points with 20 million points. So there's that. I'm sorry. That's not true. I may have misspoke. No, 20 shots. So that's 20 million points. Each waveform has 1 million points. If it's 1 second. Okay, but there's multiple waveforms. And there's multiple mics. So anyway. You can do the math. But on the review, or in the review, you only see a tenth of that, because I only showed you the first 100 milliseconds, right? Because there's 1,000 milliseconds in every second, right? So I only showed you a tenth. I only showed you 100. But just know that 1 full second of each of the 20 shots were recorded, and I went ham because I wanted to make sure to capture anything that was important. Anything. I wanted to know everything about this gas flow. And turns out there wasn't anything I felt necessary to show you after 100 milliseconds this time. There are some reasons why you want to record longer. And so, I don't know, just turned out this time I was like, you know what? They only need to see 100. And so that's why I showed you that. But you do need to understand that we can literally record up to the limits of, the limits are high. So that's another reason. So another reason why it took a long time to get this data to you was the analysis complexity. and other publication priority, and frankly, me getting burned out. This was a really complex analysis, and I ran out of gas. I really did. I worked on this over a period of a week, basically here and there, and then I wanted to make a big push into the March 26th anniversary of the Silencer Sound Standard, and I made it happen just in time. But it was at the expense of my sanity. It really was, and I'm not doing that again. Okay, this was not a paid publication. Keep that in mind. This is a public test report fully funded by member contributions. There's no contract here, and all the data is owned by me. And so I chose to give this to all of you at great expense. But the people who support PEW Science deserve this data, so everyone gets it. Okay, that's how this works. It is truly grassroots and truly a public research cooperative. That is actually true. So, yeah, I just want to preface this with all this and say this is why it took so long. I know a lot of you guys asked for this, but hey, that's why you waited. I know you see the date, you're like September. It's March. It's almost April. So, well, now you know why. So let's hit some high points. Let's hit some high points of the review now that I've pretty much beat a dead horse about why it's hard. So 58.9 overall suppression rating with a wipe. I put the wipe there on the chart so there's no ambiguity. 56.3 at the muzzle, 54.4 at the ear. So, okay, first of all, is that quiet? Yeah, it's pretty quiet. Overall, in the big scope of things, right? 58.9 overall, it's whoa, that's pretty quiet. It's almost into the 60 zone. It's not reasonable. That's really quiet. It's yeah, you got a piece of plastic in the silencer. Right. Well, it's silicone, but it's fabric reinforced silicone, but it's, yeah, we'll get to that in a second. So that's cool. And that's to be expected. It better be quiet. Okay? It's wiped. It has to be quiet. Maybe this actually might be louder than you thought. And it was actually louder than I thought it would be. One thing to note, so the muzzle rating was 56.3 and the ear rating is 54.4. Those are different. And this time the muzzle rating is higher than the ear rating. And I'm going to, before I go on, let me double check something in real time, because I want to make sure I do not mess this up when I tell you something. This is very important. Okay. I'm double checking another number. Okay. All right. I have to, sometimes I have to be very careful about what I say, because I make statements that are a little crazy. Now, I wanted to say the comparison between the muzzle and the ear is backward. And I'm sorry, it's not backward. It's the reverse of what you would normally expect. It's not normal. Basically, it's showing that you have a little less suppression at the ear on average than the muzzle. On average. It's due to the wipe. Okay, the wipe is going to change the way the sound propagates, and you are trapping so much gas and delaying the exit of gas for so long that when you get away from the weapon, the sound signature drops off quickly. And this is the reason why the suppression rating at the ear is lower. Okay, that's why it's slightly louder at the ear. This is different than what you're used to on this 300 blackout subsonic host, okay? And I want to ensure that you know that is real, okay? That's not an anomaly, meaning that's not a data anomaly. That's not a numerical anomaly in the models. That's not a rounding error. That is a behavior mechanism that is real. And there's a physical reason why it is quieter 1 meter left of the muzzle than it is at the shooter's ear on this weapon in this configuration, okay? On average. Okay, that's what the suppression rating dictates. So that's a high point. Another high point, again, I told you I did this with 20 shots. 20 shots. The suppression rating you see in the graphic there, it only considers the first 5 shots. Okay, this is in keeping with the way the reviews are structured and the way the suppression rating is structured. And so this is for consistency and also to ensure that first round pop remains a meaningful contribution to the rating. Do you understand? See, because the more shots that are included, the less the first round pop will matter. Right? Like if I just like shot this silencer with like, okay, forget about the wipe for a second. Let's say I just shot like 60 rounds and then give you the suppression rating based on all those rounds. Well, let's say like the first round pop was loud and then like the next 59 shots were quieter than the first round. Well, then what would be the contribution of the first round sound signature to the rating? Well, nothing. So then I would have to like give a separate first round pop rating and it'd be a whole thing. And then you have to have another number. And then like that would be more confusion. And the people that already think one number is too complicated would then lose their minds. I'm just kidding. There's no one really thinks that. I mean, some people have said that, but that's because they had agendas or they were joking. Okay, no one really thinks that one number is complicated. It's literally the simplest rating you could possibly do. Unless it was like instead of 0 to 100 scale, it was like 0 to 5. And by the way, I did pitch that to some people before I started this, and they didn't seem to like 0 to 5. They didn't seem to like 0 to 5. It's like, okay, 0 to 100 is. I thought 0 to 100 made a lot of sense, frankly. Hey, you can't win them all, but this is what we got now. I decided to run with it. If you knew the story about how this all came together, you would look at me like, you'd be like, oh my, are you serious? I'm like, that's right. Maybe someday I'll tell you that. Probably not. Back to what I just got off track. Right. First round pop. Yeah, first round pop matters. Only 5 shots are included in the suppression rating. That's how it is. Okay. That's just something you're going to have to deal with if you're a manufacturer. Don't try to trick us and make your first round pop not matter. If first round pop is in your silencer, we're going to know. Okay? Everyone's going to know. It's important for us to know. First round pop's important. Okay? This isn't to be mean. This is to be objective and make sure we're treating the data correctly. Now, one interesting thing about first round pop of the VOX, as we know, it is significant. On subsonic 300 blackout, frankly, I mean, it's loud. When you shoot, and I talked about this on the previous review of what's the freaking number? I can scroll down. I referenced it in this review. What was it? Review 625. So we're on review 638 right now, but back in review 625, I reviewed the VOX on the same weapon, but without a wipe. That first round, I remember shooting that gun. Like I don't think I had hearing protection on. And if I did, it wasn't like it was plugs and it wasn't shoved in my ear that high or that much because I wanted to see what it sounded like. It was one of those risks I took. I think I might have had ears. I can't remember now, but I have to go back. I talked about it in the podcast around that date. I'll have to go listen, but to remember. But it was loud. I remember it sounded like a gunshot on that first shot, and I was like, dude. I mean, it didn't sound like an unsuppressed gunshot, but it sounded like, you know what loud first round pop sounds like. It sounds like a gunshot, like way louder than, they're way louder than the secondary shots and tertiary shots. So you put a wipe in here. Okay, you put a wipe in the VOX, and you think to yourself, you know, what's going to happen? Is it going to mitigate the first round pop significantly? Well, I'm here to tell you, the first round pop of the wipe system was not as loud as the first round pop of the unwiped system, but the delta in loudness between first round pop and the second shot with the wipe is still really big, dude. So I mean, the first round pop is really big compared to the second shot using a wipe. It's crazy. That wipe is going to pop and let all those combustion gases out just like it would without a wipe. And it sucks. And then I don't know, you know what? I don't know if this was a big surprise to me in hindsight. At the time, when I did the wipe shot and I heard it, and keep in mind, earlier in this podcast, I kind of talked about how I've tested this silencer multiple times with a wipe. The first round pop with wipes is not quiet, and I don't understand why I thought it would be. And I almost feel like I'm arguing with myself and trying to convince myself that I was wrong. And it's not that I really thought a lot about it, but every time I shoot a silencer with a wipe, and that silencer has a lot of first round pop without the wipe, it has a lot of first round pop with the wipe too. And so that just goes to show you, when you have something that happens inside the silencer, you can't hide that. I mean, is it going to be quieter than the the unwiped FRP? Yeah, but it's still going to be FRP. Okay, first round pop. I like FRP, it's faster. It's faster to say. So, yeah. Now, I needed to see, what's causing that? You know, and there's a lot of myths and theories about this. And frankly, I was surprised at what I've heard from people. And I had an engineer from a silencer manufacturer talk to me about this. He had all kinds of ideas about what he thought was happening. Well, the actual wipe rupture, you can see it in PEW Science data. You can see it, and that's insane. It's actually really wild that you can see this. It's actually one of the coolest things I thought that I published as part of this. It's in Figure 1. If you look at I know that some of you aren't going to look at this review, and that's fine. But for those of you who have or can or want to, Figure 1, that graphic I've been doing in some of these reviews with the early time signature. You know, if you click on that and make it bigger, or tap on it, or look at, just zoom in on it, or whatever you want to do. If you're on your phone or you're on the desktop, you can see the N wave. The literal membrane burst. Okay, there's a literal membrane burst wave that occurs in the waveform. And that happens due to the initial wipe rupture. And, seeing that is something that I don't think, I knew the sound signature in the first shot was going to be different. It always is, right? Because the first round pop. And that's why I try to zoom in on it and show it to you, because I want you to see what's going on. I don't want to look at the other signatures. I want to see what's happening in the silencer in the first round. I want to see that silencer's fingerprint in sound space, in pressure space, right? In linear pressure space with units of pascals. I want to see what's going on. I labeled the peaks in dB so you can understand what true dB is, but we don't display dB on a positive and negative scale like you see in the pressure graphs, because dB is a logarithmic unit. So and it's not linear, so the graph would make no sense to you. It's not how you would do it. So that's why the graphs are shown are linear with units of pascals. It's a linear unit, okay? If you have a question about the difference between a pascal and a decibel, and how to convert between the two, and why we use one in some cases and why we use another, even though it's the same data, you can consult the Silencer Sound Standard. It's all on pewscience.com, okay? It's all there. There's nothing that I show in these reviews, well, other than gas dynamics, I guess. Well, no, actually, you know what? Even the gas dynamics in the beginning of the standard, it talks about the communication of molecules at the sound speed through the medium. So really, frankly, I know this is complicated, but if there are any questions, their tools are in the standard. Okay, and if you have any questions, you can tech@pewscience.com. Is no problem. You contact me. I will be happy to help you. I'm happy to explain it. But this is a very important thing I want to talk about, this N wave, because no one has done this, shown this ever. I don't know of another publication showing a membrane burst from projectile impact in this time regime, and then showing subsequent numerical integration to understand the contribution of the impulse to the sound signature. I've looked. In the literature, and I haven't seen it. So I could be wrong. I mean, there might be someone listening to this that is like, no, Jay, actually, a guy in Norway, but I don't think so. Because if he had done it, he would show people because it's cool. That is one thing. I know that if someone had done it, they would definitely publish it. So why am I talking about this? It's not just for academic and intellectual curiosity. It is because there could be something that people do that matters for a reason they don't, that is incorrect. And that is pre-perforating wipes. I was thinking to myself, and this is something common that other people have thought too. And I even wrote it, even put it in the article. What did I even say? What words did I use? I said, because I made some pretty big statements at the beginning with bold letters and everything, all important like. What did I say? I said that the first round pop through an unpunctured virgin wipe is still significant. And I did say also that it may be influenced by membrane puncture. Because, the test data indicates that post-puncture, the sound suppression increases, and then you get a gradual decrease in the suppression performance upon the continued wipe usage, right? So I did postulate, I did guess that you could get better FRP performance with a wipe if maybe you pre-perforated the wipe. Maybe if you cut the wipe. Let's say you cut a cross in the middle of it, all the way through. So the wipe was already perforated. So you could do this actually in a variety of ways. You could score it so it wasn't all the way perforated, or you could perforate it completely with a cross pattern, so that when closed, it still blocked gas, but it has less resistance to the bullet travel. Understand? Because instead of breaking the wipe when the bullet hits it, it becomes like the butchered the plastic meat market doors, like I was talking about at the beginning when I was explaining to you what a wipe did, right? It becomes more like that. So there's no membrane failure. Okay, so what would that do? Well, it should take the N wave away. And then I thought to myself, what if it didn't take the N wave away? What if the N wave happens what if a slightly different N wave happened due to the sudden release of FRP gases through an orifice, not necessarily spurred on by the sudden release of those gases due to membrane failure? Meaning that, does the sweep of a bullet through a pre-perforated opening, is that analogous to a membrane burst with the particle velocities of interest involved with FRP and with subsonic suppression and subsonic flow rate? I don't know. But then I thought, okay, that's a good intellectual exercise. That's a good curiosity. People have thought about it. We know that wipes affect accuracy, and pre-perforating the right wipe might help with accuracy. We can get to that in a second. But maybe it's not that much for sound. So I said, okay, well, I don't think it's going to make that much of a difference to pre-perforate for FRP when your silencer is already loud with FRP. Because I don't think that changing the mechanism of membrane burst and bullet passing through the silencer through pre-perforation is enough to somehow influence the way that tremendous amount of the FRP gases or FRP products come out. So I did say in the second bullet there in the introduction to the review that more testing is needed, because I do think that one would think that you could just make the conclusion and statement that no, if we pre-perforate these wipes, it's really not going to help the sound signature from the FRP. It's really just for accuracy. Like, it's very tempting for me to say that, and I actually almost did. And then I said, you know what? No, I think it might, but let's go ahead and say why, or why it might not be that important, because FRP is already loud. And then let's go ahead and say that more testing is needed, because that's true. I didn't want to go out on a limb, and the reason why I'm not dwelling on this, but I am going in depth, is because people have in the industry, they have said that you need to pre-perforate the wipes. You need to cut them because it's going to make it quieter. And with FRP, and that might be true or it might not be true. And I haven't tested that, and I don't think that the results of this test show that would necessarily be true, because when you look at the integral, if you go to what figure is it? This is important. Oh, you can barely see it, but if you want, it's really interesting actually. Wait, what time would it be? Oh, I might not be able to see this on the time scale which I plotted, but I almost can. It's interesting. If you look at figure 3B, where and this brings me to another point I need to explore, but with you right now. But if you look at 3B and you look at the early time impulse peak prior to 30 milliseconds, you see the black one from shot 1 you have this real big jump. Not real big, but it goes above 2.5 Pascal milliseconds. And you're like, whoa, that's a little bit weird. It is a little bit weird, right? It's like an abnormally high. It's an abnormally high early time impulse spike that you would not normally see, clearly, because I shot 20 shots. You only saw it in that one. So you're like, dang, dude, that's crazy. And so I think that's the contribution from the. I'm pretty sure that's the contribution from the N wave. Okay? That's that N wave contribution. So it's like, okay, is it noticeable in impulse space? It is. It is noticeable. But you know what's more noticeable? The freaking crazy rise time of the rest of the shot 1 impulse waveform. Look at it. I mean, look at figure 3A and 3B. Look how big that black curve is. In 3A, I got all 20 shots in there, dude. And I color-coded them. So I went and I color-coded them differently than I usually do. So you got 5 black, 5 blue, 5 red, 5 green. Okay, you got shots 1 through 5 in black, 6 through 10 in blue, 11 through 15 in red and 16 through 20 in green. And so the reason I did that was I wanted to show you sequence of loudness and how weird it is. So what happens first? Boom, black curve rises first, highest. What is that? FRP. How do you know that? You've seen that in every single sound signature we've ever shown you. You cannot hide FRP, remember? Even if the ear can't hear it, you can't hide it from real data space, right? You can't hide it from impulse. We figured that out, right? Mostly. Is there some exceptions? Kind of. But for the most part, it's extremely difficult to mask in data space. And so you see that. And then what? What do you see the next black waveforms do? It's kind of hard, but if you click on the chart, you can see the next black waveforms, meaning the next 4 shots in the first 5 shots, all drop drastically. I mean, shot 2 is at the bottom. And it is like, you're like, whoa. And then what happens? Well, then you get to shots 6 through 10 and they're blue and they come up. And then you got shots 11 through 15 and they're red and they come up more. And then you got shots 16 through 20 and they're green and they come up even more. And by the time you get to shot 20, your peak amplitude of impulse is almost where it was at the FRP. Why is that? Why every 5 shots you're going higher and higher and higher in impulse? It's because the wipe's breaking. Okay? It's because your wipe is becoming less effective because you're slowly but surely tearing it and breaking little bits out of the middle. And it's unable to trap as much gas. And so it's getting less and less and less effective until finally it will be destroyed. And it will become like unsuppressed. Not quite unsuppressed. It's very hard to get the entire area of the wipe blown out without on a bolt gun like that, because you have to shoot way more. But that's why I showed that. So I basically showed you the integrals to understand, well, the N wave's not really helping that much to make it super louder. It is. Does it matter? Yes. Are we super concerned about the N wave? Probably not necessarily. We can test the difference someday. But then the real takeaway here, one of the big takeaways, and I actually took a chart out that I was going to leave in because I didn't want to confuse you. One of the big takeaways here is that the suppression rating of a wiped system will vary throughout the shot string based upon wipe damage. I did 20 shots so that I could show you at least a minimum amount of which you could be assured that the suppression rating would be valid for. And I can tell you, and I wrote this in the review for reference, if you're going to be shooting this thing with a wipe, the suppression rating is going to be at least what you see in the rating, at least what that 5 shot is based on, okay? So don't you worry. Don't you think it's going to be louder than that? So for at least 20 shots, you're going to get sound suppression performance that meets or exceeds the 5 shot suppression rating computation, okay? So that's important for you to know. I don't want you to think that, oh, well, this data doesn't matter. So no, it does, and it's conservative, frankly. Okay, it's conservative. The 58.9 that you see in the graphic there is conservative for 20 shots. And in fact, if you let me pull that up. That's a good question, because I actually did compute this. I just don't want I can't give you the data because it's too risky. Yeah, so your 5 shot averages climb higher than 58.9. Okay, they don't get super higher, but it's the, let me just say, the 5 shot averages after the first 58.9 will go higher, and they're never going to drop below that. Okay. So you're going to be okay. You're going to be okay if you use that as your guide, and that's why the suppression rating is there. So that's about the sound. That's what I wanted to say about the sound as far as relative to itself. The Vox in general with a wipe, it has a lot of FRP, but then it gets quiet. Okay, but then one thing to keep in mind is accuracy. Now it's really important to talk. It's really important. The bullet is going to hit the wipe, and that is mechanical interference. Okay, so then it's going to deflect, and that is definitely going to influence the path of your projectile, no matter what. And this is not avoidable. And for this reason, you really need to think about how you use a wipe and at what distances you use a wipe, okay? Because the minute of angle shift, the point of impact shift that you're going to have with a wipe is going to be so significant that you need to be careful. You might completely miss your target, okay? Wipes are for close operations for ultimate stealth. The only reason, do not, and I repeat, do not count on a wipe for hunting use or any precision use and to put a Band-Aid on a silencer that's loud. Unless that Band-Aid is part of an intended design or a purposeful close-range weapon in which you need to be covert. Like, so let's say you have to walk into a room, use a weapon in close quarters, and leave. And you need to mask your signature. That's one use case of a wipe silencer, whether that be in 22 caliber or whether that be in subsonic 9mm or subsonic 300 blackout. That is a real world use case of a wipe. In that case, let's say you're using your silencer within 3 feet of the target, that might be appropriate. For example, okay, that's just an example. Now you want to go take your subsonic rifle out to shoot a deer at 50 yards or 70 yards with a subsonic 300 blackout with a wipe on the silencer. I don't think that would be an ethical shot because you're going to miss. And it's not going to be necessarily your fault. It's probably going to be the bullet deflecting because of the wipe. And what, you're going to wound or miss that animal? No, son. Homie, don't play that. I wouldn't. And I'm here to tell you, if there's some people out there who disagree with me and that can show me and send me a picture of where you used a wipe to kill a deer and or used wipes to shoot groups with your subsonic 300 blackout, send it in. I'm willing to bet no one's going to send me that. So just be wary. I don't want you guys to think, oh, well, my silencer's loud, so I can just put a wipe on it. It'll be okay. It's like, yeah, maybe if you want to go like shoot someone in the back of the head that's sitting on a couch, but don't like think that you're going to go shoot deer with it and be okay. You know what I mean? Unless the deer is like right next to you. Okay. So there's that. And then also, I did want to say about relative performance of the silencer. It is clear. It's clear that the wipe makes it quieter. I mean, everybody knew that before I did this test and published this. So obviously that's not the point of this. But you didn't know how much quieter it would be, and now you do. And more importantly, relatively, maybe not more importantly, but as importantly, you know what it is that this does in practicality on the mini fix? It puts the suppression rating of the Vox. If you put a wipe in it, it puts the suppression rating of the Vox at the ear almost identical to that of the Half Nelson. Half Nelson can't use a wipe. All right? Half Nelson can't use a wipe. So now it's like, well, you just took a Half Nelson, which is an extremely efficient subsonic 300 blackout silencer, frankly. And you just took a silencer that was way louder, a suppression rating louder at the ear, and you just made it hang with that. I mean, is that a practical performance increase that results in the VOX S being able to hang with the Half Nelson on subsonic 300 blackout? No, it's not, because the Half Nelson can be used for like precision shooting at 500 yards Or not in a 300 blackout subsonic. That's dumb. But like, okay, you can go shoot your deer with your half Nelson. You gonna shoot your deer with your VOX S wiped? No, we just talked about that. So now you're gonna go to your hotel room and you're gonna engage your objective in your hotel room with either of these? Well, frankly, I don't think you should, because they're quieter silencers, and if you're really in a hotel room doing stuff, you probably need to use a full Nelson. We can get to that eventually when I publish that data, but you know what I mean. If you're doing covert ops, close range, with subsonic 300 blackout, can a VOX S with a wipe achieve levels of the half Nelson? Yes, it can. In fact, at the muzzle, because of the wipe, it'll be even quieter. Okay? So for close range operations, covertly, a wiped VOX S can be a tool in your toolbox. Okay? That is one conclusion one can draw from this analysis. In addition to the need or lack thereof for pre-perforating wipes and the actual sound signature differences between unsuppressed and unwiped and wiped data, which is also contained in the review if you would like to see that. Okay. Now, and I did publish some in the end there. Figure 7 through 10 do show you that high fidelity data, so you can be assured of the quality of and efficacy of these results and the comparison. Just so you understand the sheer magnitude differences of what you're dealing with when you have a wiped silencer and why the signatures are what they are. Now, and I should say one more thing about the half Nelson. If you look at the overall suppression rating of those two systems, meaning the overall suppression rating of the half Nelson on the mini fix with subsonic 300 blackout and the overall suppression rating of the VOX S wiped on the same system, the overall suppression of the VOX S is quieter. I mean, that's shown in the aggregate. Like you can see in the muzzle and ear suppression ratings in figure 6, that's clear. But overall, that's important to know. What does that mean? Some of you, I think I answered that question last podcast, or maybe it was the one before that, and someone asked, well, why? What, like, maybe someone asked me, what's the composite rating? Well, it's the overall weapon system rating. And overall, the VOX S wiped is quieter on this gun than a half Nelson. Does that mean the half Nelson is bad? Well, of course not, because the half Nelson is doing it without a wipe. But this shows you the utility, again, and I know I've beaten this horse. This shows you the utility of the suppression rating. The suppression rating is powerful. It's showing you loudness on a parameter that can be compared system to system. Okay? System to system. So it's important to understand that's what, if someone asked you, I need a quieter weapon platform, I do not care. I'm using this within 3 feet of my target. What's the quietest? All I have is a half Nelson. All I have is a wiped VOX S. I need the absolute quietest. I don't care if it's just a little bit quieter. I need the absolute quietest. My target's 3 feet away. What do? I say VOX S with the wipe. Every time. Okay. Now, I say that just to make a point, but we need to look at the FRP profiles, and that might be a good comparison later. Okay. So all in all, VOX S wiped. This is the third time you've seen the VOX from Energetic Armament in PEW Science testing. Isn't that crazy? You've seen it on Supersonic 308. You've seen it on Subsonic 300 blackout, and now you've seen it wiped with Subsonic 300 blackout. The suppression rating varied from 29.5 to 48.4 to 58.9, almost 30, to high 40s to high 50s. 3 categories. Same silencer. Think about it. Okay? That's one silencer. And 3 vastly different levels of performance. Okay? This is the power of the suppression rating. Okay? Different hosts, different configurations. Same silencer, different ratings, okay? All right. That's a lot on the VOX. I spent, moving to topic 2 at a time of 1 hour and 4 minutes and 56 seconds. Okay, that's way longer than I thought I was going to spend on that, which definitely means that, okay, so topic 2, this is listener questions. This is actually my favorite thing. This is continuation from last time. This is topic 2, continuation of the ton of questions from the last 2 episodes. So this is round 3. And look, if you haven't listened to the previous episode or episodes, episode 44 and 45, I answered about 43 questions of that encyclopedia of questions that you asked, you guys, generous question askers. So without further ado, let's take a wondrous journey back into our spreadsheet and continue. I love it, but it's been already an hour in. I'm gonna only hit a couple. I'm sorry, but we have more things to get to, and I just don't have any. I don't have as much time, but it's okay. We're gonna hit a couple of them. Let's do that right now. All right. So we left off on question 43, which I did answer. It was actually it was a gentleman or lady who asked about my thoughts on all titanium silencers for LEO use, and they were talking about semi-auto and full auto between 8 and 16-inch barrels. They didn't mention caliber, but I assumed 5.56, and I kind of talked to them. This is a very complicated question, and we talked about it. But if you would like to know more about that answer, you can go back to the previous episode, and you can hear what I said. Okay, but that's the question we left off on. Now, question 44 is a new question here. Let's go. So question 44, is mid-length gas still king for 11-inch barrels? Or is carbine gas relevant for both suppressed and unsuppressed? Really, he said for both canned and loud, but it's funny. So is mid-gas still king? Now, that's interesting. With regard to it being king, I don't know. I would need to test carbine length gas system on the 11 and a half, 11 and a half inch gun I have, or I would have to make another upper rather. But the dwell time is going to be longer. Oh, excuse me. I had been fighting that yawn for the past 5 minutes, and it finally came out. I'm sorry. I would need to test the carbine length gas system on 11 and a half. And frankly, remember guys, I have the Daniel Defense Mark 18 upper. I know it's not 11, it's a 10.3, but it's carbine, obviously. So I'm going to test that now. But it doesn't have an adjustable gas box, so I would probably need to build an 11 and a half inch carbine gun. Dang it! To answer your question, here's what I would guess, dude. The dwell time is going to be longer on your carbine system, and although I could see it being okay if it was well tuned, meaning if your adjustable gas block was tuned, and you had a good buffer in there, had a little bit of a heavy buffer in there, I still don't know if it's going to be as smooth suppressed as the 11 and a half mid, because of the longer amount of time the gas is traveling into the gas port, right? Let's talk through it, because I don't know 100% exactly what the answer is going to be, like quantitatively, like in like recoil impulse and stuff, and like how smooth it would be, and like. But let's talk about it so you can maybe understand it, and then maybe you want to go do some experiment on your own. So remember, you have to, and this is totally off the cuff. I'm totally thinking out loud for you. Okay, so I'm going step by step in my head. You gotta. What do? You shoot the gun. Bullet goes down the barrel. How is the bullet going down the barrel? It's being pushed by combustion gases. Where are those gases going? Well, they're pushing on the bullet. Your bullet passes your gas port. what happens? The gas can go into the gas port because the gas wasn't in front of the bullet; it was behind the bullet. Remember? Yeah. So the bullet's going real fast, like gas pushing it. Bullet passes gas port. In your 11.5-inch barrel with a carbine length gas system, that gas port it gets to the gas port sooner, right? Because like the gas port's like closer to you, the shooter, right? Because it's like further back on the barrel, further aft. Okay, so that bullet passes your gas port, and that gas starts flowing. Pretend. Oh, let's do this mental exercise, dude. Pretend I have my gun, my 11.5-inch mid, and you have your gun, 11.5-inch carbine. Let's say you have one of those. Let's say we have the same. I mean, forget about it. Let's say we have a fixed gas block. We both have a H2 buffer, mil-spec carrier, same diameter gas port on the barrel. I mean, I'm not saying this is real. Just say, let's just for grins. We're standing side by side, you and I. We're friends, and we say 3, 2, 1, engage, and we shoot. Okay? We light them up at exactly the same time. What does that mean? Okay, we both pull let's slow down. Okay, you have that in your mind. We just shot together. We're friends. Now slow it down. We both pull the trigger at exactly the same time. Hammer drops at exactly the same time. Ignite the primer at exactly the same time. Bullet starts traveling exactly the same time out of that case. As long as you keep your powder dry, sir. No. Okay, so it's the bullets are traveling down the barrel. Everything's the same. Everything's the same. Everything's the same. Everything is exactly the same. My gun has a mid-length gas system. Yours has a carbine-length gas system. Everything's exactly the same. Same buffer weight. Same everything. Nothing's happening yet. That bullet, I mean, literally nothing's happening yet. That bullet's still traveling down that barrel. My bullet's traveling. Your bullet's traveling. All of a sudden, your bullet passes your gas port. My bullet has not yet. My bullet's still turning around in circles through the rifling. Your bullet is too, but then all of a sudden gas starts going into your gas port. Holy guacamole. I mean, my gas port's just still cold, frankly. It's the bullet hasn't even gotten there yet, so my gas port's like, I feel like something's coming. So your gas port is already under pressure. There's gas flowing through it, high pressure gas flowing through it. Gas starts to flow. It's going into your gas port. It's going into your gas tube. It starts to go backward to your carrier key on your bullet carrier group. My gas isn't anywhere. But then what happens? The bullets get to around an inch shy or so of the barrel muzzle. Well, guess what's up there? Well, my gas port's way up there. So now my gas starts going through. Well, by this time, the bullets are, have you lost some propellant gas from pushing your bullet out of your gas port? Yes. Is your velocity maybe slightly lower than mine in the barrel because of that? Maybe. But not that much lower. You probably couldn't measure it easily. And so, or maybe you could, I don't know. But it doesn't matter. The point is, all that time, and you may not think it's a lot of time, but all that time between when your bullet passed the gas port and my bullet got to my gas port, that's the difference in time of the gas pulse that your carrier sees to unlock the weapon. All other things equal. And that is the definition of dwell time. Okay? That's the definition of dwell length and dwell time. You have a longer dwell length. You have a longer length of barrel by which the bullet travels, keeping the gas port under pressure. And a longer dwell time, a longer time that gas port is under pressure due to that longer path of travel. They're synonymous, those two terms, dwell length and dwell time. And so now, all other things equal, your carrier is going to unlock first. Right, dude? I'm sorry, not your carrier, your bolt. Your gas is shooting into you got way more. What happens when you put pressure over time over a certain time period and you take the integral? You get impulse, right? Well, you got way more impulse, dude, than me. You got way more impulse than me. So what happened? Well, you have more momentum. You have more gas momentum imparted to your carrier key. Your carrier's your bolt's gonna unlock faster than mine, right? What if it unlocks faster and it also reciprocates with a different kinematic profile, meaning that it? What if there's a higher bolt velocity because of that? Why would that be? Why would you get higher bolt velocity in your reciprocating system rearward? Well, remember, you unlocked earlier, right? Like I might not be unlocked yet. I mean, I might be starting to unlock, but you've been unlocked for a while. Well, what happens when you unlock, dude? Remember, you know what happens when you unlock? There's a gas column. There's a gas column in your barrel, and there's like shockwaves and stuff too. There's all kinds of crap in your barrel, dude. Guess what happens when all that stuff hits your bolt face or the case, whatever? What happens when all that momentum gets imparted to the case that's touching that's on the the face of the bolt face there? Pushes on it, right? Well, if you're unlocked, all that momentum, what does it do? Well, F equals ma. So it gets to impart an acceleration on your bolt carrier group because now it's unlocked. And guess what? Our bolt carrier groups, remember I said we had the same buffer? Dude, M and the F equals ma is the same, bro. I got the same M as you got in my mid-length, and you got the same M in your carbine. And guess what you just did? You just unlocked your bolt early. So now what? Well, guess what? All that crap in the barrel that was going on, dude. This whole time, when I've still been locked, like my pressure's dropping. My pressure in my barrel is dropping. In my chamber, it's dropping. Why is it dropping? Well, I'm pushing the bullet out of the barrel with it, and then the bullet leaves, and the combustion gases leave the barrel and they go to the silencer. Well, what happened in your system? Well, dude, you couldn't drop your pressure fast enough. Your bolts, your carrier's already unlocked. Your bolt's already unlocked, bro. And it's going backward. And guess where all that pressure is? It didn't get to drop. You know where pressure goes when it's high? It goes to the area where there's low pressure. Like if you blow up a balloon and you like let the balloon go, it flies away, right? Well, because there's like a pressure differential. That's the same thing that happens to your gun. So what's going to happen? You have the same mass as me. Bolt going back further, there's blowback out of the ejection port. The bolt speed's faster. It's going to have a harsher recoil. Now, you understand? So that's the difference. That's the difference between an 11.5-inch barrel with a carbine length gas system and an 11.5-inch barrel with a mid-length gas system. All other things equal. That is the physical difference. Physics. Can't deny it. That's how it works. 100%. 100%. If the gas port's the same size, everything's the same, and the only difference is the position of the gas port on the barrel and the length of the gas system. That's the difference. Now, you may be asking yourself, well, okay, well, what if I tuned it? So, okay, well, that's different. But just how much better could you make it? How much better can you make your 11.5-inch carbine gas system than 11.5-inch mid? Like, how much better? Like, what's the threshold of performance? How can you approach true performance of the 11.5-inch mid with 11.5-inch carbine? And what would you need to do that? What would you need to do to mimic the kinematics? What would you need to do to make it as quote unquote smooth? To make it seem as though there wasn't a long time for impulse to act on the carrier? What would you need to do to soften the recoil to make the pressure in the chamber be low at the time of unlock? The holy grail of autoloading firearms. How would you do that? Well, you're immediately handicapped because you have a high dwell time. So you immediately have a long time of gas acting. So what's the first thing you do? Well, you got to restrict the gas flow. So you got to put an adjustable gas block on there. Okay, do that. Now but you haven't changed your dwell length. So now you basically have to throttle the gas that's going to be acting in a long time and hope that you can, instead of your impulse curve being short duration, you have to make it. You have to have the duration the same length, but have the amplitude low, or your pressure curve rather. Understand? And then subsequently the impulse history too, when you take the integral. So there's that. So you're changing the shape. So is the smoothness going to change? Well, that depends. Now we have to talk about, well, what's the momentum transfer interaction from the gas column inside the gas tube to the carrier unlock. Say, okay, then let's look at that. Well, now you're going to have your carrier unlocking at a certain time dictated by the impulse history that you've imparted to it by the restricted gas flow orifice from the adjustable gas block. And let's say you get that tuned right? Let's say you get that pretty tuned. Well, now is your bolt velocity going to be, or is your acceleration, is your acceleration potential of your bolt going to be similar to what we had with the mid length gas with non-adjustable gas block? Well, maybe. Chances are, can you put an H2 or an H3 buffer in there? Can you add more mass to mitigate the fact that you're going to have more acceleration? If you don't, because you're going to unlock a little too early because you can't quite get that gas tuning right. Yeah, you can. The answer is yes. The answer is yes. You can absolutely use a buffer. So you look at the two. So I've thoroughly explained this. Now, you know all the ins and outs and all the variables. So now you got to ask yourself, what's the most forgiving for your platform? What can be the smoothest? There probably is no way to know exactly all the different combinations for all different ammo types. It's going to net you the best feel for you. So your original question did say, is mid-gas still king? Or is carbine relevant for unsuppressed and suppressed? And frankly, due to the fact that your dwell length is so incredibly long on the carbine length 11.5 compared with the mid length 11.5, I would say there's no way that 11.5 is not king when you compare the two. With regard to carbine being relevant, yeah, it's relevant, but the change in suppressed and unsuppressed is not going to be nearly as small as with 11.5-inch mid, and the gas sensitivity of the 11.5-inch carbine system will be more, and now you know why. And I know that was a very complicated, almost non-answer to what you asked, but frankly, there's got to be people that don't understand this yet, and hopefully that long rant explains it. All right. I think I went a little crazy just now. Question 45. The CGS Hyperion seems to be the best option for bolt action 6.5 Creedmoor What's your choice for best semi-automatic 5.56? Okay, first of all, the Hyperion and the Hyperion K are the only two silencers I've tested on 6.5. Creedmoor. So your statement about the Hyperion seems to be the best option for Bolt 6.5. I mean, out of the PEW Science current test data, yeah, absolutely. I can say that's true. I mean, right now, I don't know what would beat it. Actually, you know what? Even given the testing I just did, I actually don't know. I'm not sure that anything would beat it that I've tested so far that exists. Let me think about that I don't want to speak out of turn. No, you might be right. And when you say best option, do you mean quietest? Because yes. But is there anything that's going to be... There might be something that's close. I don't know if anything's going to beat it. I don't know. Probably as far as best, it probably is the best, honestly, for like everything. I mean, it has the taper mount too. It's light. Yeah, it's probably the best. I mean, for quietest. I mean, unless you're going hunting and then you want a smaller one. Yeah. Now for 5.56 semi-auto, I don't know, man. I can't tell you that. I haven't done enough testing to tell you. I'm sorry, I don't know yet. I mean, you'll see what I'm gonna run on mine this weekend in the picture I posted the podcast. So let that be your guide for now. Okay. We'll do one more because it's already. Let me check the time. 1 second, dudes and dudettes. Okay, 1 hour. Yeah, I'm in 1.5 hours. Okay, we'll do one more, and then I'm sorry. We have a lot more questions, but I have to get to some other topics, and it's late. So, okay, one more. Question 46. How would you define your ideal suppressor for a hunting rifle? Let me get a drink of water. Okay. How would I define my ideal suppressor for a hunting rifle? I would say light, accurate, quiet enough, short. I think the Hyperion K is close. I mean, you guys, I don't know, you guys have been following me for a while or listening to the podcast for a while. You've seen it. I use the Hyperion K to harvest, to totally murder the 3 deer. Excuse me. I got a buck and 4 deer. Did we take 4 deer or 3? I can't remember what my woman and I did. I got a buck and a doe. Wait a minute. Oh, she got a buck. That's right. It was 2 bucks and a doe. At first I was thinking, oh my gosh, I couldn't remember. But yeah, 2 bucks and a doe. With the Hyperion K. Yeah, it's pretty good. It could be quieter, frankly. There's a reason why it's not. It's so funny. You know, it's really crazy. And okay. Before I go on, let me answer your question. My ideal suppressor for a hunting rifle, right now it would probably be the Helios QD TI with a taper mount instead of 90-degree shoulder. You can't even buy that right now. It's not even out, so don't go crazy on it. It's basically a Helios QD, which you already know is quiet from the sound signature review, but it's titanium, so it's lighter. If that had a taper mount on it, I'd put it on my fix, and that would be it. Due to the size and weight, that would be it. That would be my hunting setup. I can say that unequivocally. I mean, it's a really good quality product, and it's quiet. Yeah, that would be it. It's really light, and it's quieter than the Hyperion K. Now, let me say what's funny about that. The funny part of this, and I think this is crazy. I think, the crazy thing to me is, you guys don't even know, what you can even do with the Hyperion stuff, which is crazy. Imagine, the Helios QD is similar to Hyperion, but the Helios QD is quieter, so imagine what you can do. Okay, I just want to say that, like, I don't want that to be crazy foreshadowing, but just give you some future understanding of what can happen here, what we're dealing with. So yeah, I hope that, okay, so that was pretty good. That was actually really disappointing that I could only get to 3 out of the, we got quite a lot more questions, but I think that's good. We're going to, again, I am going to highlight the question in our spreadsheet. Like, that's sad. There's only like a couple of them between the 2 highlights. Oh, it's sad. Hey, you can't win them all. I did have a big goal. I did have those goals to hit these 3 episodes and do them all in the 3, like bam, bam, bam. Sometimes you get thrown curveballs. Okay. We're going to go ahead and move into topic 3 at a time of 1 hour, 30 minutes, and 36 seconds. Okay, topic 3. Yeah. Oh, yeah, this is important, guys. 1 year of the silencer sound standard. I kind of want to talk, just hit industry acceptance and the journey of this, what's to come, what's beyond. I'm going to try not to get emotional, frankly. I'm serious. Like, I'm going to try not to. March 26th was the anniversary of the launch of the silencer sound standard. It was the first anniversary. In this time, it has gained a lot of traction in the industry, but the work is not nearly complete. I mean, obviously, and there's a lot more to do. You guys know that. You see that. If you're following this and you're following along, there's a lot more to do. Suffice to say, the presented data to date is novel. And it showcases how peak sound pressure does not tell the whole story. And it can actually be spurious when measured by different sources. By standardizing the way we collect data and having strict methods for collection and review and analysis and publication, I think we're able to fully catalog silencer performance and fully understand the sound signatures we hear and why we hear them. Why do we hear the silencers like we do? And through the understanding of this, we can figure out how to make silencers better. And PEW Science is also, by default, through all of this, holding the industry accountable. Okay, I am holding the industry accountable for sound signature performance claims and providing a standard data set on which the industry can lean for reference. Okay, this is multi-tiered, it's multifaceted, and this is permanent. And it's increasing in scope, okay? So these are big statements, but this is important. And so I do want to say publicly that I understand that PEW Science has created a disruption in the industry. And I understand how some companies might find it difficult to deal with an independent source of data that is not controlled by them. And this is something I do understand. It's not lost on me. But as always, I can assure you that my intentions are pure, and I only hope to showcase performance on a level playing field. Okay, and my intention is not to cause issues between silencer companies and consumers. Okay, it's actually on the contrary. Helping to set consumer expectations is one of the goals of PEW Science, and it is something I feel I'm accomplishing. Okay, now as we move further into 2021, and further data analysis and publication is put forth, I hope to continue the journey. Okay, with our consumer members, our corporate members, and our clients. Okay, thank you for your support, you guys. Okay, you're making this happen. This is very important. And finally, I want to say on this that the suppression rating is slowly but surely being adopted as the true industry standard for small arm sound signature characterization. The rate of adoption is accelerating, and the adoption is spreading. Okay, this is happening, and it's not stopping. It is here, and it will not stop. So, thank you, and this is my annual update, my state of PEW Science update for you. I think that covers the state of it right now. And I think that it's good. All right. Okay, let's move into topic 4. At a time of, man, I'm jam-packing. This podcast is crazy. You get so much bang for your buck. Topic 4 at a time of 1 hour, 35 minutes, and 35 seconds. Bang for your buck. I didn't even pay for this. Yeah, I know. Someone's paying, and it's me. Topic 4, recent test data is extremely interesting. I'll give you some hints here. I owe you something. Okay, and I would want to say, oh, 1 second. Oh my God. Oh, that was one of those yawns that'll knock you down. I'm still going through the test data from the recent series, and I got a lot of work to do. I can tell you that I'm learning a few things. Really, I am confirming some previous thoughts and postulations. Of some things, and definitely investigating some performance claims that honestly I thought were completely wrong, dude. Like I was like, so that's real? Okay, roger that. Like, you know what I mean? Like there's been some surprises for me that I'm just like, what is happening? But it's cool. I'm learning. And that means you're going to learn. So I guess everyone wins at the end of the day. Now, I do want to give some hints because although I did some private PEW Science client testing, the testing I'm speaking about right now, that I'm telling you about, that's a little surprising to me. It's public. Okay, so this is not stuff that's going to be hidden from you for any reason. It can't be because it's funded by PEW Science. So I think folks have been waiting such a long time that I want folks to know a little bit about what's coming. So the first hint I want to give you is that flow-through silencers are being studied very closely right now by PEW Science. Data was gathered and is being analyzed. And so you need to stay tuned for that. This is important, and the data is very important. And it is all PEW Science-owned data. I just want to iterate that for you. This has actually resulted in some excellent information regarding the back pressure metric too, as you can imagine. Some fantastic data correlations, which are incredible actually. And it turns out, spoiler alert, the back pressure hypothesis may be much closer to validation and transition to theory than I thought, which is, it gives me chills just saying it. I can't believe how great it is. I can't believe how good it is. And I tell you what, I'm damn proud of that. Like, frankly, like, holy crap, I probably need to publish this. Like, I know I say I publish it because it's published on my website, but no, I probably need to publish this in a journal. I don't want to do that right now because of the time it would take and the rigor. I just don't have time with everything else I'm doing with PEW Science and my day job and my day job research I do and PEW Science. I don't have time to put together a journal article for submission. First, I need to, I guess I need to, you know what I really need to do is I need to find what journal would probably take it. And I don't know if I would publish this in the acoustics field or in the blast field. It probably wouldn't be in acoustics because it's really not acoustics. What I'm talking about right now. I'm talking about, I mean, it might be, but it's really not about that. It's more flow. You know, actually, it's funny. A lot, you know, I'm going to go, look, it's late. I'm going to go off on tangents. It's almost midnight. I'm frankly I'm plowing through this, but I have a lot of tangents to talk about. Now, frankly, it's important to note a lot of people are thinking, these acoustics guys, man, I don't come from the acoustics community. And some of you may not understand that you might think that's weird. I thought you looked at sound. No, I don't come from the acoustics community. I come from the blast effects community and the weapons effects community. And that's why the stuff I'm doing is going completely like out of the realm of these acoustics guys. Like they're like, what are you doing? And I'm like, I'm doing what I would do if I was you. But I'm not you, I'm me. You know what I mean? So I'm showing them data in a way that they don't think they've ever considered, and it's working. But I'm using elements from their field so they can understand. That's essentially a high level overview of this in big picture. And so the back pressure metric is apparently, because it's based on physics and real measurement, is apparently pretty close to right. And so that's not something that really is going to concern the acoustics community. That's it might be something that gets cross-published, but this is probably something that is going to concern the blast community more, I would think. Just the fact that you can look at the time that rarefaction occurs and deduce a loss in momentum transfer. I mean, that's probably like super simple. And frankly, there's people that are way smarter than me in my field that probably already know all that crap. But like the fact that you can do it with silencers is kind of cool. And the fact that like you could just basically take an existing mill standard and then just apply a rigorous use of it and then actually get the data correctly and then analyze it and then get the answer that for back pressure, like, I don't know. I feel like someone should have done this a long time ago. So I feel like that's an important thing to publish. So yeah, that's major. Second hint about testing. I tested some dead air stuff, guys. Yeah, again, all PEW Science owned data. That I let me repeat that. So, because there's a lot of talk in the industry. Let me repeat this again. Some dead air silencers were tested by PEW Science. This is all PEW Science owned data. Okay. I've said it twice. Okay, that's all I'm going to say about that. Now, the analysis is not complete. The sequence of the release data and the analysis is not final at this time. In other words, I do not know when I'm going to release it and how I'm going to release it. But I'm in the middle of it. I'm in the middle of analyzing it. I just want you to know it's important, and I'm giving this update. It's important because so many people have asked me at this point that, frankly, like I didn't want to say anything until I had the data. Is that big a deal to me? I took this very seriously that you wanted it, and so I am working to get it to you. Okay, but I have tested it. I've tested the silencers. Now, I have gone to great lengths to be able to produce it for you. The lengths that I have gone to for you that are listening to this podcast to test those silencers and get that data has been significant. And it involved many different parties to make it happen. And none of you are going to know who they are ever. And a lot of them are listening to this. And so thank you to those of you, you know who you are. Thank you very much. And you will not be publicly thanked. And sometimes heroes don't get a party. So just know this is you're going to get it when you get it, and this is in direct response to incredible consumer demand over the past year. Okay, and there are some other things, but those are the high points that I wanted to give you hints about. I just can't give you more than that right now. I need to be really responsible in the way I release data, but just know it's coming. It's all controlled by PEW Science. Remember, PEW Science does have clients, and testing under contract may be subject to control data release. You know that. But when PEW Science does testing internally with internal PEW Science funding, nah, son, That data from those tests is under complete PEW Science control and is published by PEW Science at my sole discretion. Me. Jay. Like, I decide. Okay, and I'm the only guy. I'm the only guy who decides that. Okay? So don't let anyone tell you different. That's it. If that's another thing, frankly. I do want to say this is important, and this has come up a few times in the past couple weeks, past couple months. There is no other source of PEW Science data. There is no one speaks for PEW Science other than me. There are no relationships between PEW Science and anyone else performing testing. Now, Science Shop sponsors this podcast. Science Shop performs testing, but Science Shop's testing is in no way endorsed by PEW Science. Okay, that end of story. There are no affiliates of PEW Science. There's nobody. Nobody's involved with PEW Science except for our clients and our members. Okay, so don't like. I don't know. I've been seeing some stuff people talk about. Oh, PEW Science did no. If it's not on pewscience.com, it's not PEW Science. So there are no other websites. I mean, there might be some like news articles and stuff. Okay. Like, people write about PEW Science and talk about it. That's different. That's fine. But there are no like, PEW Science doesn't publish data anywhere. So be very careful where you obtain PEW Science data. And the website says that there are disclaimers. I mean, this is all, frankly, the trademarks and the intellectual property are all owned by PEW Science. So if it's not on pewscience.com, it's not PEW Science data. So be careful. Be careful out there in data land. Now, I do need to let you know that analyzing test data is not the only thing that I do when I'm not doing this podcast for you. So for PEW Science, like, there's other stuff. Like, you may be thinking, oh, well, gosh, he's not giving us a review right now. And, oh, what is he just doing? Like, looking to test data? It's like, well, yeah, but there's a lot of analysis and R&D that's on my plate for this to advance the research and the methodology. I can't just test the silencers and then come back and be like, here it is. Like, we're talking about the back pressure metric earlier. Like, that's not done, dude. Like, I just tested some flow-through stuff that is doing exactly what flow-through stuff says it does, which, is that going to surprise you? What if I told you it could actually suppress? Yeah, that's the thing that believe me, I want to tell you everything right now. And I can't, because it would be irresponsible, because the analysis isn't complete and everything's not formulated and the I's aren't dotted and the T's aren't crossed. It's coming though. You've been so patient. All of you have been so patient, and we're just now a year in, guys. Imagine what we can do with more time. Okay, I'm just saying. So what I'm saying is there are a lot of things I need to do. Not only look at the data, but also do other analysis, and these things need time, and not everything is immediate and on a schedule. And some of this actually requires creativity on my part, and that requires time and energy. And I might need to slow down a little bit, because I can't maintain the pace for much longer like I was doing, because I will have to stop PEW Science. Okay, it's too much. So I just want to please be patient, and I understand your frustrations on waiting, but it will be worth it, I promise. And that's why I've kept the membership the same, price level, and it's low. It's like, I figure if I keep it very low and very cheap, and it's to 2021, it's like what, $8, $10 for consumers? Come on, man. Like, I know, like, not everyone can afford it. That's fine. And don't contribute if you can't afford it. But like, I mean, that's real cheap. And the reason I'm doing that is because I'm thinking, well, okay, it's real cheap. So like, maybe more people will help. And you know what I mean? It's like, I don't know. I know no other way. I'm going to sell t-shirts, but I got to make the t-shirts. I have an idea for that. It's going to be awesome. So I can't rush it. A lot of it's literally forging new paths of how we look at things. Literally new paths. Like when I talked about how the acoustics community is surprised about this, some of this, it's because this is new. And there are people in the firearms community that say, oh, well, Jay's just doing this and Jay's just using this. Okay, well, you do it. You know what I mean? It's like, come on, dude. No. It's like one of these things, some of this stuff, it's like you're going to see this more. You're going to see it where like more engineers are going to start paying attention to this. Like more really like some technical people already have, but like what you're going to see soon, and I promise you, this is how these things go. What's going to happen is you're going to see firearm manufacturer and silencer manufacturers that have engineers that know what they're doing. And they're going to start talking about this. That's the next stage. There are several stages to this of the natural progression of a standard. The first stage is debut, where you show someone something. They say okay. The next stage is the skepticism stage, where they scrutinize it. But we're still there. See, for consumers, you've already adopted it. The consumers listening and some of the silencer manufacturers, they already know it's right because they've already shot the guns and they've seen the suppression rating. So I got people texting me every day, or texting me, DMing me saying, "Well, that's right. Well, thanks for this. This is right. Well, I own these silencers, and that's exactly what I agree with." I'm like, "Yep, thank you. I know it's right." And so I have those people. I'm not trying to convince you. I don't need to convince you. You already know it's right because you're the audience for this. The problem is not the problem, but the one of the challenges is now you got to worry about the people who don't know how silencers work because they've never shot a lot of them, but they're in charge of companies that do this stuff. Like you think there's any R&D? You think there's any R&D division of a silencer company that doesn't believe in this? There are zero. Because they know they're silencers and they shoot them. You're not going to hear criticism from them. You're going to hear criticism from the heads of their companies now. And then you're going to hear criticism from other people in the firearms industry that don't understand silencers. That's what you're going to hear. And that's okay. Because that's the next stage, right? We're going to make it through it. I'm just saying, we're going to have to... no one's done it. So that's how it is. So, actual innovation, it's going to take time. And we're going to do it. Unfortunately, you can't just turn the crank. What you want to do in a perfect world, believe me. This is like... I fantasized about this the other day. I thought to myself, wouldn't it be cool if I could just turn a crank and throw more money at it and throw more time, resources at it? What if I could just get another J, plug them in and be like, okay, now you do this. All right. Yeah, can't do that. Turns out I can't clone myself. So, at least not yet. So, I mean, the framework's not there yet. I mean, once the framework is there, and by framework I mean some more validation of some key concepts, then maybe. And then what I need to do is, frankly, what I need to do is get a bunch of Indian dudes and outsource some programmers to do some crazy stuff that I don't have time for. I mean, I say that in jest, but I'm only half kidding. And then I I think you can do that. I think you can just get programmers. I just worry that I don't know, get them, program some stuff, automate some stuff that I thought previously wasn't possible to automate because I'll just use some machine learning guys or something. It could happen. Look into it. And so maybe that's the next thing. maybe that's what we do, and then maybe that ramps up our efficiency, or we just come up with some solidified breakthroughs, and I just keep feeding you data. I don't know what it looks like right now. We're gonna have to figure it out, but 1 year seems pretty good. So it takes time. Thank you for your patience. Okay, we're gonna go to topic 5 at a time of. I'm gonna beat 2 hours. 1 hour, 55 minutes, and 4 seconds. Welcome to all the new PEW Science members. Thank you for your support. I mean, I say this every time. And yeah, I'm talking about the folks that have joined and just joined. Thank you. Welcome, and thank you for your support. Now, I want to take a second, though, and thank all the folks that have been members from the beginning. There are some. I don't know if you guys know that. People do quit PEW Science. That's fine. Not everyone can hang. No. Seriously, there are people that have actually contributed from the very first moment that I launched it. From the very first moment that I launched it, and what did I do? I remember, was it just 1 or 2? I think I just had 2. Did I launch with 1 or 2 reviews? I think it was a rugged Oculus, but I can't remember if it was just the bolt action rifle or was the bolt. I think it was the pistol too, because I wanted to show right away a difference to show you, hey, this is real, So I wanted to give you multiple data points early. So yeah, when I did that, multiple people joined, and I remember this one person in particular. I don't want to say his name, but he was one of the first people to join, and he joined with an annual membership. I remember it, and I it's funny, I was it was my fiance, my girlfriend at the time, my fiance now. I was hanging out with her, and I had just launched it. She had helped me with. She was just, she's my rock, man. She's my everything, right? She keeps me going, and I was taking a break, and we were hanging out. And my phone buzzed or something, and I saw an email come through, and I saw a person had joined PEW Science. And I turned to her and I said, "Someone joined." And she was like, "That's great." I was like, "Yeah, that's crazy. Someone joined." I was like, "Oh my God." And I went and I opened it. I was like, oh man, he joined with a whole annual membership. And I emailed him and I said, "Thank you so much. And thank you for your support." And I never thought in a million years that it would be a year later and he would still be supporting. And he's not the only one. There are others. And I was looking through it the other day, and I thought to myself, oh man, I'm gonna get emotional. No, I was really cool, and thank you for that. And I was like, those guys, you guys, you threw your hat in the ring in the very beginning, and you didn't give up on me, and you stuck by me from the very start. From the start, you did, and now look where we are on this. I mean, go to the website, dude. Are you kidding me? Not to toot my own horn, but guys, what the heck? I just went to the website, clicked on reviews. I'm scrolling down. There's a bunch of them. And you see that little button I added, the load more button? That was a little plugin I got for the website because I couldn't figure out how to code it. But hey, sometimes you need help. But yeah, but isn't that cool? And you can click the little load more and they keep coming. Isn't that crazy? Look at that. And you know what? It's not like there's a bunch of articles. Oh, look, Jay published a bunch of articles. No. Every single report is super detailed and correct and has a pedigree. And you guys did it. You guys did this. You guys that are listening and supporting, you did this. This is yours. Look what you've made. By sticking with PEW Science, you have made this. And that's the first of its kind in the world ever. And it's all because of you. So thank you, PEW Science members, and thank you to our clients that trust us to help you with R&D. Thank you to PEW Science for sponsoring the podcast, which means you sponsor it. The members listening, thank you. Thank you to Silencer Shop for sponsoring the podcast now. Okay, I hope you folks have a great rest of your week. I'll talk to you again soon. Bye.